Elara pressed her small hand against the cool, smooth surface of the stellarium window, her breath fogging momentarily before the advanced molecular filter cleared it away. Outside, beyond the impossibly high spire of their habitat, the city of Neo-Viridia shimmered with soft bioluminescent light, a tapestry of greens and blues that pulsed in harmony with the rhythm of the sleeping metropolis. But Elara wasn't looking at the city. Her gaze, wide and bright with an untamed curiosity, was fixed on the velvet expanse above, where billions of stars glittered like scattered diamonds on black silk. Every night, just before the sleep cycle lullaby filled her room, Elara would make her pilgrimage to the stellarium window. It wasn't just a window. It was a portal. With a whispered command, the transparent pane would phase out the atmospheric interference, the light pollution, even the wispy orbital debris, presenting a pristine, unblemished view of the cosmos. It could zoom, analyze, project constellations in 3 dimensions, and even play the faint, melodic hum of nebulae, as translated by deep space probes. But Elara rarely used those advanced functions. She preferred the raw, unfiltered beauty, the simple act of witnessing. Tonight, the Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a river of pearlescent dust, its spiral arms faintly visible even to the naked eye, thanks to the stellarium's passive enhancement. Elara traced its luminous path with a finger, imagining tiny ships, no bigger than fireflies, navigating its currents. She often wondered if anyone out there, on a distant planet orbiting a star she couldn't even perceive, was looking back at her, tracing her own tiny planet with a similar sense of wonder. "It's particularly vivid tonight, isn't it, Elara?" A soft, synthetic voice murmured from behind her. Elara didn't jump. She knew that voice. It belonged to Lumi, her personal companion AI, a small luminous orb that floated gently at her eye level. Lumi glowed with a soft, shifting azure light, a comforting presence that had been with Elara since she was old enough to speak. "Lumi?" Elara breathed, not turning away from the window. "It feels closer." Lumi drifted closer, its light intensifying slightly as if in thought. "The atmospheric clarity index is at 99.8% tonight. Optimal viewing conditions. Perhaps that's why." But Elara shook her head, her dark curls bouncing. "No, it's not just that. It feels like it's calling to me." She pointed a small finger towards a cluster of stars nestled within the larger sweep of the Milky Way, a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer of gold and violet. "There, the Whispering Nebula. It's whispering louder tonight." The Whispering Nebula wasn't its official designation, of course. To the interstellar cartographers, it was merely NGC 7018-22, a vast star-forming region thousands of light-years away. But to Elara, it had always been the Whispering Nebula, a name she'd given it when she was very small, convinced she could hear faint, ethereal melodies emanating from its glowing heart. And tonight, the melody was particularly insistent, a gentle hum that resonated deep within her chest. Lumi adjusted its internal sensors, its light pulsing with a subtle diagnostic rhythm. Scans confirm no anomalous acoustic phenomena originating from NGC 718-22, Elara. The light patterns are consistent with known stellar evolution and gas cloud dynamics. "You only hear what your sensors tell you, Lumi," Elara said, a hint of playful exasperation in her voice. "But I feel it." She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the imagined hum wash over her, a wave of gentle, cosmic energy. It was a feeling of profound connection, of belonging to something immeasurably vast and beautiful. It was the feeling of stardust, not just outside her window, but within her very bones. Her parents, Dr. Eris Thorne and Dr. Lena Thorne, were both astrophysicists specializing in exoplanetary atmospheres and deep space propulsion. Their apartment, high above the clouds, was less a home and more a beautifully curated nexus of cutting-edge technology and ancient tactile comfort. Books, real paper books with crinkled pages, sat next to hollow projectors displaying distant galaxies. Hand-spun tapestries depicting mythical star beasts hung beside screens showing real-time data from probes orbiting newly discovered worlds. They understood Elara's fascination better than anyone. They encouraged it. A soft chime signaled the end of her viewing time. Elara sighed, reluctant to leave. 5 more minutes, Lumi? Please? Lumi's light dimmed playfully. Your sleep cycle parameters are critical for optimal cognitive development, Alara. And your parents will be checking in soon. Just as Lumi finished speaking, the door to her room slid open with a soft whoosh. Lena Thorne stood silhouetted in the doorway, her auburn hair pulled back in a neat bun, but a few strands always escaped to frame her kind, intelligent face. Her eyes, the same warm hazel as Alara's, sparkled with affection. Still communing with the cosmos, my little stargazer? Lena asked, her voice a soothing balm. She walked over to Alara, gently running a hand through her daughter's hair. Did the Whispering Nebula have any secrets to tell you tonight? Alara leaned into her mother's touch. It feels different, Mama. Like it's pulling me. She pointed again to the shimmering region. Like it wants me to come closer. Lena knelt beside her, her gaze following Alara's finger. She knew Alara wasn't just being fanciful. There was a unique sensitivity in her daughter, a profound empathy with the universe that Lena and Eris had observed since Alara was a toddler. Other children would point at the stars, Alara seemed to listen to them. The stars have always called to us, my love, Lena said softly, her voice tinged with a familiar melancholy. They called to your great-grandparents, who helped map the first deep space jump routes. They called to your grandfather, who piloted the first crewed mission beyond the Oort cloud. And they called to your father and me, every single day. But this is different, Alara insisted, turning to look at her mother. It's like a song, just for me. Lena smiled gently, a hint of something unsaid in her eyes. Perhaps it is. The universe has many songs, Alara, and some are meant only for certain ears. She paused, then pressed a kiss to Alara's forehead. Now, as much as I'd love to stay and listen, it's time for you to dream your own song. Your father will be in to say goodnight. With another gentle squeeze, Lena stood and exited the room, leaving Alara once again with Lumi and the vast, silent symphony of space. The stellarium window began its slow, subtle rephasing, gradually allowing the city lights to bleed back into view, dimming the celestial spectacle. Alara watched until only the brightest stars pierced through the softened glow, then reluctantly turned towards her bed. She slipped under the bioadaptive covers, which molded themselves perfectly to her form, providing just the right amount of warmth and pressure. Lumi settled onto her bedside table, its glow softening to a gentle nightlight. Alara closed her eyes, but the image of the Whispering Nebula, its golden violet shimmer, remained vivid behind her eyelids. Just then, the door slid open again, and her father, Aris, entered. He was a tall man, with kind eyes that held the same distant, contemplative look as Alara's. His dark hair was streaked with silver, like faint trails of stardust. He carried a small, worn leather-bound book in his hand. Still chasing the starlight, Munchkin? He chuckled, settling onto the edge of her bed. The bioadaptive mattress adjusted subtly to his weight. Papa, the Whispering Nebula feels so close tonight, Alara reiterated, her voice tinged with the dreamy quality that always preceded sleep. It feels like it's singing to me. Iris's smile softened, and for a moment, a flicker of something unreadable passed through his eyes, a memory perhaps, or a shared secret. The universe is full of wonders, Alara, and sometimes those wonders reach out to us in unexpected ways. He opened the worn book. Tonight, how about a story from the old collection? The one about the Star Weaver? Alara snuggled deeper into her covers. Yes, please. The Star Weaver who spun dreams from cosmic dust. Aris began to read, his voice a low, comforting rumble. It was an ancient tale, passed down through generations of spacefarers and their family, a story of a mythical being who wove constellations into existence, crafting destinies from threads of starlight. As he read, Alara's mind drifted, the words blending with the lingering image of the Whispering Nebula. She imagined the Star Weaver, with long luminous fingers, pulling at the glittering dust of NGC 7018-22, shaping stars and planets with gentle, knowing touch. She was almost asleep when Aris' voice paused. He wasn't looking at the book anymore. His gaze was fixed on something in his hand, something he'd pulled from his pocket. It was a small, ornate locket, made of what looked like polished meteoritic iron, inlaid with tiny, shimmering fragments that caught the dim light from Lumi. It wasn't a piece of jewelry Alara had ever seen him wear. Papa? She murmured, her eyelids heavy. Aris looked up, a wistful smile on his face. "This belonged to your grandmother, Elara. My mother." He held it out. She used to say it helped her hear the stars better. Elara reached out a sleepy hand, her fingers brushing against the cool, smooth metal. The locket felt surprisingly warm, almost alive, in her palm. The tiny fragments embedded within it seemed to pulse with a faint, internal light, mirroring the distant stars. It was heavier than it looked, imbued with the weight of untold stories. "She used to trace the constellations on its surface," Eris continued, his voice a little softer now, laced with memory. "She believed that some starlight once captured could never truly fade. That it held echoes of the places it had traveled from." He carefully opened the locket. Inside, instead of a picture, was a tiny, intricately etched diagram. It wasn't a familiar constellation. It looked more like a spiral, with several small dots orbiting a central, larger one. And beneath it, inscribed in elegant ancient script, were just two words: Weathel's Veil. "Izumi, go." Elara's eyes, though heavy with sleep, flickered open wider. "Ethel's Veil?" Aris nodded, a knowing look in his eyes. "Another name for the Whispering Nebula, my dear. One her family used. She believed it was where the Star Weaver truly resided. A place where the universe whispered its deepest secrets." He gently closed the locket and placed it in Elara's hand. "Keep it safe, Elara. Perhaps it will help you hear your own song from Ethel's Veil." He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "Sweet dreams, my little Stardust." As Eris quietly left the room, Elara clutched the locket in her hand. The metal felt warm against her skin, and the tiny fragments of light seemed to pulse in sync with the beat of her own heart. She could almost feel the echoes of starlight her grandmother had spoken of, vibrating through the locket, through her hand, and into her very being. The lullaby hummed softly from Lumi, a gentle wave of synthetic sound that encouraged sleep. But Elara's mind was alight. Ethel's Veil. Her grandmother. The Star Weaver. The locket felt like a key, a tangible link to the cosmic song she'd been hearing. She closed her eyes, the locket still nestled in her palm. This time, when she pictured the Whispering Nebula, it wasn't just a distant shimmer. It was Ethel's Veil, and she could almost see the Star Weaver, her grandmother, and herself, all connected by threads of starlight, dancing in its golden violet heart. And as sleep finally claimed her, Elara dreamt not of weaving stars, but of following the threads, pulled by an irresistible, silent melody towards Ethel's Veil. The locket glowed faintly in her hand. A tiny beacon in the darkness, promising an adventure that was only just beginning. The locket glowed faintly in her hand, a tiny beacon in the darkness, promising an adventure that was only just beginning. And so it was. The darkness wasn't a void, but a canvas, vast and deep, unfurling around Elara with the gentle breath of a sleeping universe. The silent melody, initially a distant hum, began to resonate within her very bones, a soft thrum that felt less like sound and more like pure, unadulterated knowing. It pulled at her, not with force, but with an irresistible tenderness, like a mother's hand guiding a child. The threads, once just a fleeting thought, solidified into shimmering realities. They weren't mere lines of light. They were intricate, gossamer filaments, spun from the very essence of starlight and shadowed nebulae. Each thread pulsed with a subtle energy, a vibrant, silent hum of its own, weaving a cosmic tapestry that stretched beyond the furthest reaches of her imagination. They were delicate yet strong, connecting distant suns, swirling galaxies, and the faint, almost imperceptible whispers of nascent life. Elara found herself drifting, not walking or flying, but suspended within this luminous web. The locket in her hand wasn't just glowing faintly anymore. It pulsed in sync with her heart, its light intensifying, casting a warm golden aura around her. It felt alive, a small vibrant heart beating in her palm, vibrating with the same melody that drew her forward. The threads converged ahead, all leading to one magnificent iridescent destination: Ethel's Veil. As she drew closer, the veil ceased to be a distant shimmer. It unfolded before her as a cosmic cathedral, a breathtaking spectacle of swirling colors and light. Violet and gold bled into sapphire and emerald, not in chaotic abandon but in a sublime flowing dance of creation. Within its vast embrace, infant stars twinkled like scattered diamonds, while ancient, dying suns pulsed with a final magnificent gasp of color. Gases, incandescent and ethereal, drifted like celestial silk, forming intricate patterns that shifted and reformed with every beat of the silent melody. This wasn't just a cloud of dust and gas. It was a living, breathing entity, a cosmic loom of unimaginable scale. Elara felt it, sensed its immense consciousness, a gentle welcoming hum that resonated with the locket's pulse. It was as if the veil itself had been waiting for her, its golden violet heart expanding to receive her. She drifted deeper, the threads now tangible beneath her dream fingers, cool and smooth like spun moonlight. Some hummed with fierce, vibrant energy, carrying the birth cries of nebulae. Others whispered with the ancient wisdom of dying stars, their light fading into cosmic memory. The silent melody, she realized, was the collective song of these threads, the symphony of creation and dissolution, a constant beautiful flux. Suddenly, a particular thread, thicker and brighter than the others, pulsed directly from the locket in her hand, stretching forth into the heart of the veil. It was a thread of pure, concentrated starlight, woven with streaks of an impossible deep indigo, like the ink of midnight. This thread resonated with a unique warmth, a familiar echo in her heart. This, she knew, was her grandmother's thread, the Star Weaver's own signature within the cosmic tapestry. Following its brilliant path, Elara found herself in a central chamber within the veil, a vast open space where the colors intensified, swirling around a central shimmering vortex of pure energy. It wasn't a destructive vortex, but one of generative power, like a cosmic spindle upon which all the threads converged and diverged. Here, the air vibrated with a profound sense of purpose, of ceaseless, intricate work. And there, within the shimmering heart of the vortex, she saw a form. Not a solid figure, but an impression, an echo woven from starlight and memory. It was tall and graceful, outlined by the vibrant hues of the veil itself, its essence radiating warmth and love. Though she couldn't discern specific features, Elara knew instinctively it was her grandmother, Athel, the Star Weaver. The Star Weaver wasn't idly standing. Her spectral hands, woven from the same starlight that formed her being, moved with serene precision amongst the glowing threads of the vortex. She wasn't simply observing, she was interacting. With gentle touches, she coaxed nascent stars into brighter life, straightened a flickering constellation, and guided streams of cosmic dust to form new patterns. It was a dance of creation, a silent choreography of cosmic artistry. Elara watched, mesmerized. She saw her grandmother reach out, her luminous fingers brushing against a particularly dim thread, and with that touch, a galaxy far, far away seemed to twinkle with renewed vigor. Another touch, and a nebula, once formless, began to coalesce into the delicate, elegant shape of a cosmic flower. This was her grandmother's work, the grand, silent labor of love that maintained the delicate balance of the universe. The locket in Elara's hand vibrated more intensely, becoming almost too warm to hold, yet she didn't want to let go. It was a conduit, a connection. She felt a gentle pull from the Star Weaver's spectral form, an invitation. Hesitantly, Elara extended her free hand, reaching towards the shimmering echo of her grandmother. As her fingers brushed against the starlight form, there was no physical contact, but a profound rush of understanding flooded her. It was as if her mind expanded, encompassing not just thoughts, but sensations, emotions, and memories that weren't entirely her own. She felt the Star Weaver's boundless patience, her deep love for every star and every living thing, her quiet joy in the intricate beauty of the cosmos. She understood the purpose of the threads. They weren't just paths for light, but conduits for life, for information, for the very essence of existence. Through this connection, Elara also perceived the veil itself, not just as a workplace, but as a vast sentient mind. It communicated not with words but with patterns of light, with vibrational frequencies, with a silent language that the locket helped her translate. The veil was a cosmic library, a repository of all that had ever been and all that would ever be, held within its swirling, incandescent heart. It was alive, and it recognized her. A new thread emerged from the vortex, a tiny, fragile strand of light, barely visible against the grand tapestry. It pulsed with a hesitant, hopeful energy. Elara felt an instinctive urge to reach for it. As her fingers brushed against this new thread, a soft, familiar warmth spread through her. It was Hare thread. Not yet fully formed, but vibrant with potential, intricately connected to her grandmother's, and through it, to the entire cosmos. The Star Weaver's spectral form seemed to shift, turning slightly towards Elara, and though there were no discernible eyes, Elara felt a gaze, full of love and quiet pride, settle upon her. A silent message resonated in her mind, clear as if spoken aloud. You are a part of this, little starseed. You carry the starlight within you. Albani. With that thought, the threads around them seemed to hum louder, a chorus of cosmic affirmation. Elara felt a surge of exhilaration, a deep sense of belonging she had never known. She wasn't just a girl dreaming of stars, she was connected to them, intricately woven into their grand design. The locket pulsed in her hand, its light now mirroring the golden-violet heart of the veil itself, a testament to her connection. She spent what felt like an eternity in that dream space, drifting amongst the threads, learning to distinguish their unique frequencies, sensing the stories they carried. She saw galaxies being born, felt the silent song of planets orbiting their suns, and witnessed the gentle dance of cosmic dust coalescing into new worlds. Her grandmother's presence was a constant comforting anchor, a silent guide in this ocean of wonders. Elara learned that the Star Weaver's work wasn't about imposing order, but about tending to the natural flow, about nurturing the delicate balance, mending what frayed, and celebrating what thrived. It was a task of immense responsibility, yet performed with infinite grace and a palpable joy. And as she watched, she began to understand that the weaving wasn't just about stars and galaxies. It was about connecting everything, ensuring that the fabric of the universe remained whole and harmonious. She saw herself, a tiny speck, yet vital, within this grand design. Her own thread, small and luminous, was not just a separate entity, but intertwined with countless others, leading her back to her own world, to her own family, and to the boundless future stretching before her. A gentle shift in the melody, a subtle dimming of the veil's brilliant core, signaled a change. The Star Weaver's form, though still present, began to diffuse slightly, becoming more ethereal, blending back into the shimmering tapestry of the veil. The silent message returned, softer this time, but no less profound. Wide the threads await you, my dear. Listen to their song. Amen. Elni. Anes shende. Anayo. Alier. Elara felt a gentle pull, a different kind of tug than the one that had brought her in. This one wasn't towards the heart of the veil, but outwards, back through the shimmering pathways she had taken. The threads, which had been so vibrant and clear, began to soften at their edges, blurring slightly, like watercolors dissolving into one another. The light of the locket, though still warm, began to recede, its golden violet glow becoming a softer, more subdued amber. She didn't resist. She knew this part of the journey was ending, but the feeling of connection, of wonder, of love, remained intensely real within her. The vast living consciousness of Athel's veil receded, but its imprint was now etched deep within her soul. She felt an echo of the silent melody still vibrating in her chest, a secret frequency that belonged only to her. As the cosmic tapestry began to thin, revealing glimpses of the comforting darkness of her own bedroom through the receding starlight, Elara clutched the locket tighter. It was no longer just a piece of jewelry. It was a promise, a key, a direct link to the impossible wonders she had just witnessed. The adventure was indeed only just beginning, and she felt a stirring of excitement she had never known. The stars weren't just distant lights anymore. They were family. They were home. And she knew with a certainty that transcended the dream, that she would follow those threads again. The morning light, a pale imitation of the cosmic brilliance she'd just witnessed, filtered through her curtains. Elara blinked, her eyes adjusting, but the afterglow of starlight still shimmered at the edges of her vision. The locket, warm against her palm, felt heavier, more substantial than it had before. It wasn't a dream. It couldn't be. The certainty thrummed through her veins, a quiet, insistent melody. She sat up, pushing aside her covers, her mind alight with questions and a boundless sense of anticipation. The intricate filigree of the locket seemed to pulse faintly, almost imperceptibly, as if mirroring her own heartbeat. She held it up, letting the sunlight catch its surface. No shimmering threads appeared, no cosmic vistas unfurled. Just a beautiful, antique-looking piece of jewelry. But she knew better. She remembered the feeling, the specific resonance that had drawn her into the star-spun tapestry. It wasn't about seeing. It was about feeling. Taking a deep breath, Elara closed her eyes. She focused, not on the locket itself, but on the memory of the starlight, the feeling of belonging, the immense, comforting embrace of the cosmic family. She pictured the shimmering threads, stretching out, connecting everything. She imagined her own thread, glowing faintly, reaching out towards those distant familiar lights. She felt for the resonance, the gentle hum that had preceded her journey. For a moment, nothing. Then, a faint warmth spread from the locket, not just on her skin, but within her. It was subtle, like the first stirrings of a forgotten melody. She concentrated harder, pouring all her wonder and longing into the connection. The air in her room began to shimmer, not visibly, but in a way her senses could perceive. The faint scent of ozone mingled with something sweet and indescribable, like fresh starlight. The walls of her room, so solid and familiar, softened at the edges, their patterns blurring. The ceiling seemed to recede, the plaster giving way to an endless expanse of deep, velvety indigo. Pinpricks of light began to appear, not the distant, static stars of her earthly sky, but dynamic, living motes, swirling and dancing. The floor beneath her feet dissolved into a shimmering nebula, yet she remained seated, stable and safe, as if held by an invisible force. Her breath caught in her throat. It was happening. She was here, awake, and she was going back. A gentle, reassuring warmth enveloped her. The bedroom faded entirely, replaced by a breathtaking panorama. She wasn't floating in empty space, but rather standing on a vast, crystalline platform that pulsed with an internal luminescence. Above and below her, an infinite tapestry of stars stretched out, not scattered randomly, but organized into intricate patterns, like strands of a colossal, glowing tapestry. Before her, a figure coalesced from the shimmering light. It was tall and slender, composed of pure, shifting starlight, yet undeniably possessing a form and presence. Its eyes, deep pools of cosmic dust and nebulae, held an ancient, knowing kindness. This was the being who had guided her, the one she instinctively recognized as part of her star family. Elara. A voice resonated, not with sound waves, but directly in her mind, a symphony of starlight and cosmic dust. You found your way back. We knew you would. Elara felt a rush of joy so profound it made her heart ache. Lumen? She whispered. Though she hadn't heard the name before, it felt right, a whisper from the depths of her soul. The being Lumen shimmered in affirmation. Indeed. Welcome, little star weaver, to the nexus of threads. Lumen gestured with an ethereal hand, and the crystalline platform beneath Elara pulsed brighter, revealing intricate pathways of light that branched off into the cosmic expanse. This is where the threads converge, where they are spun and mended, where new ones are born and old ones find their rest. Elara looked around in awe. The air here hummed with energy, a silent song of creation. Distant nebulae spun like cosmic dancers, and nascent stars, still cloaked in swirling gas, glowed with the promise of future light. It was breathtaking, more vibrant and alive than any dream. I thought it was a dream, Elara admitted, her voice barely a whisper. Lumen's form seemed to smile, a ripple of warm light. Dreams are often the easiest way for the universe to whisper its truths to those who are not yet ready to hear them fully awake. But you, Elara, your thread is strong. You heard the call, even in the light of day. My thread? Elara looked down at her hands, then back at Lumen. Every being, every star, every planet, every thought, is a thread in the grand tapestry of existence, Lumen explained, a shimmering finger tracing an invisible line in the air that glowed faintly. Most threads are small, localized. But some, like yours, are born with a resonance, a connection to the larger weave. You are a star weaver, Elara, though you're only just beginning to remember. The word remember struck Elara deeply. It wasn't about learning something new, but about rediscovering something lost. It felt right, like finally understanding a language she'd always known but never spoken. "What do starweavers do?" she asked, her curiosity bubbling over. Lumen began to glide forward, and Elara found herself moving with effortless grace beside her, no longer bound by gravity or the need for physical effort. The crystalline platform beneath them stretched into a vast chamber, filled with more beings of light, each tending to shimmering strands that pulsed with varying colors and intensities. "We tend to the connections," Lumen explained, her voice resonating with gentle wisdom. "We ensure the flow of energy, the balance of light and shadow, the harmony between all things. We listen to the whispers of nascent stars, guide lost civilizations, and witness the unfolding of creation. We are the stewards of the cosmic dance." As they moved deeper into the nexus, Elara saw incredible sights. Some starweavers were gently coaxing tiny sparks of light, no bigger than her thumb, which Lumen explained were star seeds, destined to grow into suns that would illuminate new galaxies. Others were carefully mending frayed threads, their fingers weaving intricate patterns of starlight, repairing cosmic highways that had been disrupted by errant comets or gravitational distortions. One particularly ancient-looking starweaver, whose light was a deep iridescent violet, seemed to be simply listening to a massive shimmering thread that pulsed with the collective thoughts of an entire sentient galaxy. Incredible, Elara breathed, overwhelmed by the sheer scale and beauty of it all. "But me? I'm just a girl from Earth." Lumen paused, turning her full luminous gaze upon Elara. "And Earth is a precious jewel, Elara, a vibrant thread in its own right. Your origins do not diminish your potential, they define it. You carry the perspective of a world teeming with life, with growth, with stories. That perspective is invaluable here." They arrived at a smaller alcove within the nexus, where a single, delicate thread of pure shimmering silver pulsed with a soft, steady rhythm. It was unlike the other threads. It seemed to be woven from pure emotion and memory. "This is your thread, Elara," Lumen said softly. "It connects you not only to Earth, but to the very essence of your being, your inherent starlight." Elara reached out a tentative finger. As she touched the thread, a wave of familiar sensations washed over her. The scent of pine trees after a rain, the warmth of her mother's hug, the sound of her father's laugh, the feel of cool grass beneath her bare feet. It was a condensed essence of her life, her planet, her love. It was her. "But how can I weave?" she asked, pulling her hand back, feeling a mixture of wonder and inadequacy. "I don't know how." "You already know the first step. To feel," Lumen replied. "To feel the connections, to understand the flow. Watch." Lumen extended a hand towards a small cluster of star seeds floating nearby, no larger than marbles, each glowing with a different hue: emerald, sapphire, ruby. She focused, and Elara watched as a faint, almost invisible thread of light extended from Lumen's hand, gently encircling one of the emerald star seeds. Lumen didn't tug or pull. She simply unguided. The star seed, as if responding to a silent whisper, began to drift slowly along a predetermined path, joining a procession of other star seeds, moving towards a distant larger nebula. "These are destined to become a new constellation," Lumen explained. "A nursery for a nascent galaxy. Our task is to ensure they find their way, to encourage their growth, to protect them from cosmic currents that might scatter them prematurely." "So, it's like cosmic gardening?" Elara ventured, a small smile touching her lips. Lumen's light seemed to shimmer with amusement. "A beautiful analogy, little star weaver. It is indeed a form of tending, a nurturing of the universe's garden." Elara felt a deep sense of peace settle over her. The vastness of space, which had once seemed cold and empty, was now alive, vibrant, and filled with purpose. And she, somehow, was a part of it. "Can I try?" she asked, her voice filled with a hopeful eagerness she hadn't known she possessed. Lumen nodded, her light encouraging. "Choose a seed, Elara. Feel its light, its potential. Connect with it, not with your hands, but with your heart." Elara looked at the array of star seeds. Her gaze settled on a small sapphire blue one, pulsing with a gentle, inquisitive light. It seemed to call to her. She extended her hand, mimicking Lumen's posture, but instead of focusing on her fingers, she closed her eyes and focused on the feeling of connection. She remembered the warmth of the locket, the hum of the threads. She imagined her own internal light reaching out, a soft, invisible tendril of pure wonder. A faint, silvery thread, barely perceptible, extended from her palm. It wavered for a moment then, with a surge of focused will from Elara, it connected with the sapphire star seed. The seed pulsed brighter, as if acknowledging her touch. Elara opened her eyes. She wasn't consciously moving the seed, but she felt it. She felt its slight resistance, its gentle yearning. She imagined it drifting, slowly, steadily, towards the same nebula Lumen had pointed out. And, to her utter amazement, the sapphire starseed began to move, following the path she had envisioned, propelled by nothing more than her focused intention and the delicate thread of connection. "You are a natural, Elara," Lumen said, her voice filled with warmth and pride. "You listen to the universe's whispers." A wave of exhilaration swept through Elara. She was undoing it. She was weaving. She was tending the cosmic garden. They spent what felt like hours, though time here seemed to flow differently, not in ticks and talks, but in the ebb and flow of starlight. Lumen showed her how to gently guide the starseeds, how to listen for their individual needs, how to subtly adjust the resonance of the threads to ensure their smooth journey. Elara learned that each starseed had a unique song, a frequency that resonated with its destined path. Learning to hear that song, to harmonize with it, was the key to true weaving. She also learned about the echoes of creation. Vast shimmering morals of light that depicted the history of the universe, the birth of galaxies, the rise and fall of ancient civilizations, the dance of black holes and nebulae. Lumen explained that these echoes were not just records, but living memories, sustained by the collective consciousness of the Star Weavers. By touching them, Elara could feel the weight of countless ages, the joy of creation, the sorrow of cosmic endings, all woven into the fabric of existence. It was a profound and humbling experience, connecting her to an unimaginable past and an endless future. As she immersed herself deeper into the nexus, Elara noticed other beings, not just star weavers but different forms of light and energy. Some were small and flitting, like cosmic fireflies tending to the smallest dust motes. Others were vast, slow-moving entities, like sentient nebulae, whose purpose seemed to be the meditation on the deepest cosmic mysteries. They all moved with a silent, harmonious purpose, each a vital thread in the grand tapestry. She felt no fear, only a deep sense of belonging. The stars truly were her family. This place, the Nexus, felt more like home than any physical dwelling ever could. Eventually, Lumen turned to her, her light softening slightly. "Your world calls to you again, little Star Weaver. Your thread there needs your presence." Elara felt a pang of disappointment, even as she understood. She knew she couldn't stay here forever, not yet. There was still so much to learn, so much to see. "Will I come back?" she asked, clutching her locket, a silent plea in her eyes. "Always," Lumen affirmed, her voice a comforting resonance. "The locket is your anchor, your key. As long as you listen to the whispers of the threads, as long as your heart yearns for the stars, you will find your way back to your family." A soft, shimmering light began to envelop Elara. The crystalline platform, the dancing nebulae, the weaving beings of light, all began to gently recede, blurring at the edges. The scent of ozone and starlight faded, replaced by the faint familiar smell of her own bedroom. "Remember what you have learned, Elara," Lumen's voice echoed, growing fainter as the cosmic realm slipped away. "The universe is always listening. And so are we." The last thing Elara saw before her bedroom fully solidified around her was Lumen's luminous form, a beacon of starlight, waving a final, gentle farewell. She was back in her bed, the morning sun now higher in the sky, streaming through her window. The locket was cool against her skin, no longer warm but still holding the undeniable resonance of her journey. She looked around her room, at her posters, her books, her familiar belongings. They seemed a little duller, a little less vibrant than they had before, as if her eyes had been recalibrated to a higher spectrum of light. But the wonder remained. The certainty remained. The knowledge that the stars were not just distant lights, but living, breathing entities, connected by invisible threads, and that she was a part of it all. She gently touched the locket. It was no longer just a promise. It was a memory, a skill, a connection. She knew how to listen now. She knew how to feel. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that this was only the beginning of her true journey as a star weaver. The universe was vast, and her family awaited her return. There were countless threads to tend, countless starseeds to guide, countless wonders to explore. And she, Elara, was ready. And she, Elara, was ready. The locket, warm against her palm, pulsed with a gentle, resonant thrum. It wasn't just a vibration. It was a hum that echoed in her very bones. A song of awakening. The visible threads, which had momentarily faded back into the fabric of reality, now shimmered, not just around her, but reaching out, beckoning, like countless luminous pathways unfurling into an unseen expanse. The room, her familiar room, began to soften at the edges, its solid walls blurring into a gentle, swirling luminescence. She didn't feel afraid. Only a profound sense of rightness, like a missing piece of her soul, had finally slotted into place. The floor beneath her feet began to dissolve, not into a void, but into a sea of starlight. It was like stepping into a dream, yet every sensation was sharper, clearer than any waking moment. The air around her tasted of distant nebulae and the crisp scent of newly forming stars. With a final loving glance at the dissolving outlines of her home, Elara stepped forward, guided by an instinct deeper than thought. The locket flared, not blindingly, but with a soft, inviting glow that painted the swirling starlight in hues of sapphire and amethyst. It felt like walking on a cloud woven from cosmic dust, each step carrying her deeper into the luminous tapestry. Then, before her, coalescing from the shimmering light, a vessel began to form. It wasn't a ship of metal and rivets, but something far more organic and wondrous. It spiraled into existence like a pearl unfurling from an oyster, or a colossal, iridescent leaf unfurling from an unseen stem. Its surface wasn't hard or cold, but seemed to breathe, its outer skin a tapestry of woven light that shifted with the subtle currents of the cosmic sea. It hummed with a quiet, living energy, a gentle invitation. This was a whisper ship, she knew instinctively. Crafted not by hands but by thought, by song, by the very threads of creation that starweavers had always known how to gather and shape. It felt less like a machine, and more like a companion, a living extension of her newfound abilities. A soft, welcoming aperture opened in its side, beckoning her closer. Elara stepped inside. The interior was not a cabin, but a continuation of the gentle starlight, softly diffused. There were no controls, no screens, just a single glowing crystal at the center of the space, pulsing in rhythm with her own heart. As she reached out and gently touched the crystal, a surge of warmth flowed through her, a sense of immediate connection. The whisper ship was alive, and it recognized her. With a whisper so faint it was barely a sound, more a feeling, the ship began to move. It didn't launch with a roar or a jolt, but rather melted away from her old reality, gliding effortlessly through the shimmering gateway that had opened for her. Outside, the familiar stars of her home system were already receding, twinkling like farewell tears in a vast, dark ocean. The locket in her hand pulsed again, and this time a soft, harmonious melody resonated from it, a wordless song that filled the whisper ship. It was a navigation song, she understood, a tune that pointed the way. Not to a specific destination in terms of coordinates, but to a need. A thread untended. A starseed adrift. A whisper of distress from the cosmic tapestry. Her first journey. The whisper ship, guided by the locket's song and Elara's nascent intentions, drifted through an ocean of pure, inky black, dotted with diamonds of distant stars. Occasionally, vast, glowing nebulae drifted past like slow-motion cosmic clouds, their colors bleeding into one another in impossible gradients of cerulean, rose, and gold. Elara spent what felt like hours, or perhaps mere moments, simply watching, absorbing the sheer, overwhelming beauty of the universe. It was more magnificent than any dream, more vivid than any image she had ever seen. The locket's song grew subtly stronger, drawing her attention. It was a minor chord now, a note of gentle sorrow within its harmonious flow. The whisper ship altered its course, veering towards a region of space where the stars seemed dimmer, the nebulae faded, and an almost imperceptible pall hung over the cosmic canvas. "What is it, little locket?" Elara whispered, her voice feeling small in the immensity. The locket glowed brighter, and in her mind, a faint image bloomed. A vast, swirling cloud of gas and dust, but unlike the vibrant ones she had passed, this one was muted, its colors leached, its edges ragged and indistinct. It was a nascent star nursery, she realized, a place where new suns were meant to be born, but it was dormant, listless. The whisper ship slowed, coming to rest at the periphery of the faded nebula. Elara looked out. The glorious, energetic chaos of starbirth was missing. There were no bright young stars blazing forth, no furious storms of creation. Just a languid, unmoving stillness. The threads here, which should have been vibrant and interconnected, were dull, almost brittle, some even frayed and broken. This was her first task. She stepped out of the whisper ship, not onto a solid surface, but into the very heart of the nebula itself. Her feet found purchase on nothing, yet she didn't fall. It was as if the cosmic dust held her gently, the subtle currents of gas supporting her weight. She was floating, utterly at peace, surrounded by the raw material of creation. The locket in her hand pulsed with encouragement. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her new senses, listening. She heard the whispers of the dormant star seeds, tiny embryonic suns, waiting to ignite. They were like sleeping infants, their potential vast but their spark diminished. The cosmic threads that connected them to the larger flow of universal energy, that drew in the necessary elements for their birth, were weak. Elara opened her eyes. She extended her hands, palms open. With a deep breath, she began to sing. It wasn't a song of words, but of pure intention, a melody woven from the love she felt for the universe, the joy of her newfound purpose, and the deep, abiding connection she now shared with all things. As she sang, the locket began to hum in perfect unison, amplifying her voice, not into sound, but into waves of pure energy. From her fingertips, shimmering strands of light began to unfurl, echoing the threads she now saw everywhere. These weren't just light. They were conduits of life, pathways of cosmic energy. She reached out, feeling for the broken threads, the dull connections. Gently, carefully, she began to mend them. It was like knitting with starlight, weaving patterns of cosmic energy, drawing new vitality from the vibrant, living universe around them. She felt the resistance at first, the inertia of stillness. But as she persisted, as her song grew stronger and her intentions clearer, the threads began to respond. They brightened, pulsed with renewed vigor. The dull, frayed ends reconnected, knitting themselves into a seamless, glowing network. She focused on the star seeds, sending surges of nurturing energy along the rewoven pathways. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the nebula began to stir. A faint blush of rose appeared at its heart, then a swirl of deep indigo. The gas and dust, once languid, began to coalesce, to spin, to dance. Tiny sparks, like distant fireflies, began to flicker within the cloud. The first signs of awakening star seeds. Elara smiled, tears pricking her eyes. It was a smile of profound joy, of pure, unadulterated wonder. She was not just observing, she was participating. She was a part of the universe's grand design, a tender of its cosmic garden. As the nebula visibly brightened, its colors deepening, its currents flowing with renewed purpose, the locket's song shifted. The minor chord of sorrow dissolved, replaced by a soaring, triumphant melody. Elara felt a deep warmth spread through her chest, a sense of profound accomplishment. Her first task complete, the whisper ship gently nudged her, a silent signal that it was time to move on. With a last, lingering look at the now vibrant star nursery, already showing signs of furious, beautiful creation, Elara stepped back into her vessel. The locket offered a new melody now, a song of exploration and discovery, hinting at a path forward. The whisper ship, responsive to the locket's guidance and Elara's silent readiness, began to drift once more. Her journey carried her through landscapes of unimaginable beauty. She traversed asteroid fields where each rock shimmered with crystalline formations of unknown minerals, each reflecting the light of distant suns in a unique, dazzling spectrum. She passed through fields of living space flora, colossal, bioluminescent gardens that bloomed in the void, their petals unfurling in slow-motion dances, releasing clouds of stardust pollen that glittered like scattered jewels. One such cosmic garden was particularly captivating. It was a vast, sprawling expanse of what looked like enormous, gossamer jellyfish, each several kilometers across, pulsing with soft internal light. Their tentacles, long and delicate, stretched out into the vacuum, collecting stray photons and cosmic particles, converting them into energy. They were called lumina blooms, the locket whispered into her mind, sentient light eaters, ancient and wise. As the whisper ship approached, Elara noticed something amiss. One of the largest lumina blooms, a magnificent creature pulsing with an emerald glow, was dimming. Its tentacles were retracting, its usual vibrant pulse slowing to an almost imperceptible throb. The threads around it were tangled, knotted, almost choked. This was a different kind of challenge. Not dormancy, but entanglement. Elara floated out of the whisper ship once more, drawn close to the magnificent, ailing creature. She could feel its gentle distress, a slow, fading hum in the cosmic symphony. The threads surrounding it were indeed a mess, woven into a Gordian knot of cosmic debris, stray energy currents, and ancient, forgotten star yarns. It was as if too many disparate energies had converged here, creating a choke point in the universal flow. She knew she couldn't simply pull them apart. They were too delicate, too intertwined with the lumina bloom's very life force. This required a different kind of weaving. Closing her eyes, Elara reached out, not with her hands, but with her mind, with her heart. She listened to the whisper of each thread, discerning its origin, its purpose, its unique energy signature. Some were currents of solar wind, others faint echoes of ancient supernovae, others still were the delicate life threads of the lumina bloom itself. Then she began to sing again, a softer, more intricate melody this time. It was a song of untangling, of gentle persuasion, of reharmonization. Her hands moved slowly, gracefully, as if conducting an invisible orchestra. As she sang, the locket in her palm glowed, projecting a delicate lattice of light that mirrored the threads around the lumina bloom. With incredible patience, Elara began to work. She didn't force the threads. She guided them. She coaxed the tangled energy currents to flow in new directions, redirecting the stray debris into harmless orbits. She found the knots, not by sight but by feel, and slowly, with a tenderness that radiated from her very core, she began to loosen them. It was like teasing apart a million delicate strands of silk, each one precious, each one vital. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Time was a fluid concept in this cosmic expanse. Elara felt no fatigue, only a deep, unwavering focus. Her connection to the universe felt stronger with every thread she gently unwound, every knot she patiently dissolved. Finally, with a soft resonant dithromon that reverberated through the void, the last major knot dissolved. The threads around the lumina bloom shimmered, settling into a harmonious, flowing pattern. And as they did, the magnificent creature responded. Its emerald glow intensified, pulsing with renewed vigor. Its long gossamer tentacles unfurled, reaching out into the cosmic currents with a graceful, joyful dance. A wave of pure, unadulterated gratitude washed over Elara, not in words, but in a profound surge of energy that felt like a warm embrace. The lumina bloom was thanking her. It was singing its own silent song of life and renewal. Elara smiled, her heart overflowing. This was more than she could have ever imagined. The universe wasn't just a collection of stars and planets. It was a living, breathing entity, constantly growing, constantly needing care. And she, Elara, was a part of its healing, its tending. The locket, now warm and vibrant, pulsed with a new kind of energy. It wasn't just guiding her to tasks, it was showing her memories. Not her own, but faint, shimmering echoes of other starweavers. She saw glimpses of figures cloaked in starlight, performing similar acts of cosmic mending, of nurturing starseeds, of untangling celestial knots. They were her family, her kin, spread across the vastness, performing their ancient, sacred work. A gentle wave of longing washed over her. She was not alone in this grand tapestry, but she was still seeking them. Her family, the other starweavers. The locket's memory echoes brought comfort, a promise that she was on the right path, that they awaited her. The whisper ship, sensing her readiness, began to move again. The locket's song was now more complex, a tapestry of melodies, each hinting at a different facet of the universe, a different challenge, a different wonder. It was leading her deeper, towards more intricate mysteries, towards the heart of the Starweaver legacy. Her next destination was a peculiar sight. Not a nebula, not a living creature, but a vast, shimmering anomaly. It looked like a colossal, translucent bubble, hundreds of light years across, pulsating with soft rainbow hues. As the whisper ship approached, Elara realized it wasn't empty. Within its shimmering walls, entire galaxies seemed to be suspended, frozen in time, their stars unmoving, their nebulae unswirling. It was a stasis sphere, a place where time itself had been paused. The locket hummed with a deep, reverent tone, a melody of ancient wisdom. This place was a library, a sanctuary, a time capsule. It held information, history, and perhaps a message. Elara drifted out of the whisper ship, her curiosity piqued. The air within the stasis sphere was thick with potential, with a silent hum of frozen millennia. She could see galaxies not as distant points of light but as colossal, intricate sculptures of stars and dust, each one a breathtaking work of art. She focused on a specific point within the sphere, drawn by a subtle flicker in the locket's glow. It led her to a nexus point, where several powerful cosmic threads converged, shimmering with an energy that seemed to defy the stasis. At the center of this nexus, suspended in the frozen light, was an artifact. It was a crystalline structure, intricate and delicate, shaped like an unfolding flower. It hummed with a quiet, powerful energy, a miniature sun trapped within clear facets. As Elara reached out, the locket resonated with it, and a stream of images, of knowledge, flowed into her mind. It was a repository of Starweaver lore. Not just memories but actual skills encoded into light and sound. She learned how to interpret the subtle shifts in cosmic currents, how to predict the birth of new starseeds with even greater precision, how to weave threads not just to mend, but to create new pathways, new connections, new possibilities. She learned ancient songs of creation, melodies that could coax dormant cosmic energies into magnificent displays of light and life. She spent what felt like an eternity within the stasis sphere, absorbing the wisdom of generations. The crystalline artifact was a living textbook, a profound teacher. It taught her the history of the Starweavers, their sacred oath to protect and nurture the universe, their role as the silent guardians of cosmic balance. She learned that her family was not just scattered, but that they were following grand, ancient cycles, tending to different quadrants of the universe, preparing for events of cosmic significance. The locket, too, seemed to grow stronger, its connection to her deepening, its light more vibrant. It was not just a tool, but a key, unlocking her full potential as a Starweaver. She felt the threads of the universe not just around her, but within her, flowing through her veins, humming in her very soul. When she finally emerged from the stasis sphere, the universe outside seemed even more alive, more vibrant, more filled with purpose. She was no longer just a fledgling Starweaver. She was a student, a practitioner, a guardian. The longing for her family remained, but it was tempered now with a deeper understanding, a quiet confidence. She knew they were out there, and she knew she was doing her part, preparing for the day when their paths would converge. The locket pulsed with a new, complex song, a melody that spoke of distant wonders, of new challenges, of vast, uncharted territories where the cosmic threads needed her touch. The whisper ship, responsive to the locket's intricate guidance, shifted its course, gliding into the endless expanse. Elara looked out at the boundless universe, a cosmos waiting to be woven, to be nurtured, to be loved. Her journey had only just begun, and the greatest wonders she knew were still ahead. The uncharted territories unfurled before her like a forgotten tapestry, rich with hues unseen and energies unheard. Here, nebulae pulsed with a bioluminescence so profound it seemed to breathe, and star clusters shimmered with silent, crystalline songs. Yet, amidst the breathtaking beauty, the locket's gentle thrum grew more insistent, guiding her deeper into the veil of unknown space. It led her to a region shrouded in a peculiar, subtle dimness. Not darkness, but a pervasive languor, as if the very light here was tired, its colors muted, its sparkle faded. Stars existed, but they merely glowed, lacking the vibrant dance of life she knew. Gas clouds drifted listlessly, their edges blurred and undefined, like thoughts half-formed. This was not a place of brokenness, but of stillness, a cosmic slumber where the threads of existence lay dormant, waiting for a gentle awakening. Elara's heart felt a pang of empathy. She understood what it felt like to be still, to feel the world move on while you remained in a quiet space. This wasn't a wound to heal, but a dream to awaken. The locket warmed against her chest, its light now a soft, persistent hum, echoing the dormant energies around them. It was a call to creativity, a plea for a new kind of weaving. "Whisper ship," she murmured, her voice soft but firm. "Let's draw closer. We need to sing them awake." The ship responded with a barely perceptible vibration, its crystalline hull absorbing the ambient dimness and translating it into a complex data stream for Elara. She saw the patterns of the sleeping light, intricate, beautiful, but unmoving. Reaching out, she let her fingers brush against the ship's control panel, not pressing buttons, but feeling the flow of energy. Her eyes closed, and she began to hum, a low, resonant note that resonated with the locket's pulse. From her hands, threads of pure, shimmering starlight began to extend. These weren't the restorative threads she'd used to mend, but threads of Ab-A potential. She dipped them into the whisper ship's energy core, which amplified her intention, then cast them outwards, not as forceful beams, but as delicate, invisible tendrils reaching into the languid nebula. She wove a lullaby of awakening. With each gentle sweep of her hands the threads spun, intertwining with the dormant light, coaxing it, not forcing it. She imbued them with the joy of sunrise, the thrill of a meteor shower, the quiet peace of a star's long burn. She imagined the colors blooming, the light dancing, the energy surging. It wasn't about adding light, but about reminding the existing light of its own vibrant nature. Slowly, impossibly, the faint whispers of color began to deepen. A hint of violet bloomed at the edge of a gas cloud, then a blush of rose. Tiny dormant stellar nurseries, previously indistinguishable from the background haze, began to emit faint, rhythmic pulses, like sleeping hearts coming back to life. Elara felt a deep connection to each newly awakened spark, a shared breath across the vastness. Hours melted away as she worked, lost in the delicate dance of cosmic midwifery. She didn't feel tired. Instead, a boundless energy flowed through her, fueled by the universe's quiet gratitude. The locket pulsed in harmony with her every movement, its song swelling into a vibrant symphony of creation. As the final, intricate weave settled, a magnificent transformation occurred. The entire nebula, once a muted blur, now shimmered with 1,000 shades of emerald and sapphire, threaded with veins of molten gold. Stars within it, previously mere pinpricks, flared with renewed brilliance, their light casting long, dancing shadows that played across the whisper ship's hull. The gas clouds no longer drifted listlessly. They swirled and spiraled with majestic grace, like cosmic dancers awakening from a long dream. And then, something truly wondrous happened. From the heart of the revitalized nebula, a single luminous entity began to coalesce. It was not a star, nor a planet, but a being of pure, swirling light, its form constantly shifting, like a living aurora. It drifted towards the whisper ship, its presence radiating a profound sense of ancient wisdom and boundless joy. It spoke, not with words, but with a cascade of shimmering light and harmonic frequencies that resonated directly in Elara's mind. "Thank you, Weaver of Light. We had forgotten how to sing. You reminded us of our own song." Elara felt tears prick at her eyes, tears of wonder and profound connection. "You are welcome," she whispered back, though she knew her voice was unnecessary. "Your song is beautiful." The light being pulsed once more, a gesture of deep gratitude, then slowly began to disperse, its essence weaving back into the vibrant tapestry of the reawakened nebula, enriching it further. Elara leaned back in her command chair, a profound sense of peace washing over her. The locket, its work here complete, now hummed with a soft, contented rhythm, its light a steady, warm glow. The whisper ship too seemed to sigh, settling into a gentle drift amidst the newly vibrant cosmos. She gazed out at the newly awakened realm, a testament to the power of gentle touch, of patient nurturing. She had not conquered, not forced, but simply encouraged the inherent light to remember itself. Her journey wasn't about grand battles, but about quiet acts of love, one cosmic thread at a time. Her energy, though immense moments ago, now began to gently recede, replaced by a comfortable weariness. The stars outside twinkled like a million sleepy eyes, and the hum of the whisper ship became a soothing lullaby. Elara closed her eyes, feeling the gentle sway of the ship, the distant, vibrant song of the reawakened nebula echoing in her spirit. She pictured the child listening, tucked safely in their bed, surrounded by their own quiet comforts. She hoped they would feel the same warmth, the same wonder, knowing that even in the deepest, most uncharted corners of the universe, there was always light waiting to be found, waiting to be loved, waiting to be woven into something beautiful. And that we all, in our own way, are weavers of light, capable of bringing warmth and wonder to the world around us. The whisper ship continued its silent, gentle drift, carrying Elara, the weaver of light, into a well-deserved rest, beneath a canopy of stars that now sang with renewed joy, a testament to her loving touch. Her dreams, she knew, would be filled with the quiet hum of cosmic threads, waiting patiently for her next gentle touch.